Statewide Vice Chair of the Hawaii Democratic Party. And we're going to get started with the program in just a couple minutes. I'm going to let them play one more song, one more Honoho, and then they're going to play after we wrap up the speakers too, while we enjoy boo-boos and other things. But just real quick, passing out cards right over there. Donovan, sorry, word brain. He's got the cards. These are little comment cards, and he's got some pens, so we might be low on pens, so we might have to share. But if you have any questions for Senator Nina Turner, write them down, and then make sure they make it back to him or to me, and we're just going to kind of filter for redundancy, but otherwise, hopefully everyone will get a chance to ask questions if they have them. And write your name and a contact information on there too, just in case we don't get to your questions. We can try to answer them later and get back in touch with you if you haven't already turned them in. If you already turned them in, it's okay, just come back later. And then restrooms are right through that door when you first came in. And what else? Help yourself to drinks already. There's drinks over there. Kombucha was donated by Conscious Culture Cafe, Big Island Booch. And we have some sweet cane juice that's Lilikoi juice and passion orange guava from Sweet Cane Cafe over there, as well as some coffee and water. And my wonderful friend Kaipo is making lau lau, and that will be dropped off very shortly. And once that makes it here, we can start eating. Might as well eat, right? It's lunchtime. There's very few vegetarian ones, so most of it is pork. So if you are vegetarian, try to go grab them first, and then if you're a meat eater, please don't take a vegetarian unless we have extra left over. If you have any other questions, you can come find me. Like I said, we'll let them play one more song. This is another revolution. Another revolution? Another revolution. Okay. But this is my friend Adine, and she's incredible. She's a revolutionist, and she's making movement through her music. So I'm really honored that she's playing for us here. So enjoy the music. Thank you.
There's a lot of evolutionaries in here, I have a feeling. So God, give me gifts and the courage to use them. Stand up for your life, call out the abusing. No women and children and sacred things like soda water and precious beans. Oh, lions, tigers, bears, oh my, the beautiful creatures literally died. They end of our home, no longer roam on the self-same planet that we all call beautiful creatures no longer roam on the self-same planet that we all call teetering at the brink of extinction, erasing the planet we barely mention. We walk the road of lust and greed, and not responsibility or greed that calls us to stand as a light in the world. Hold it up, let the light unfurl. For those who come after, will they ever know? Grace and strength of the black rhino. The answer is no at the hand of our own. The answer is no. The answer is no. We are whispers in the wind. Whispers everywhere, made of blood and dust. Blood and dust. We are ancient love, ancient love. Rooted rising, rooted rising love. War-torn countries, graphic domes, war-torn mamas losing their sons to the hands of those with the money agenda, power, corruption, bullets, and the populace in turmoil. Shit makes my butt more. Bet your bottom dollar's breathing oil, filling for the coppers are the ones that think they're royal. No matter we murder, no matter we spoil. No matter we murder, no matter we murder, no matter we murder. walk past time to get voice to the canary in the cold night. Is it too late if we see what I pay? We will certainly pay. We can't get away. The law on man, we think we can, but the law of the land is the one that steals. The law of man, we think we can, but the law of the land is incomplete. We are whispers in the wind, whispers in the wind, made of blood and dust, blood and dust. We are ancient love, ancient love, rooted rising, rooted rising. Strike it, lay it up and see what catches on. From the words in my song and the rhythm in my roots to the rattle in my bones. I'm gonna light it up and I'ma take you with me. Let's take cosmic sail and see what we can see. See, cause the light shining in you is a light in me. The brighter that you are, the brighter I can be. But there is nothing new under the sun. Everything we do has already been done. If we can't believe in this, then we really don't know what evolution is. Sun shines out, puzzle is a peace. Brighter that we burn, no energies. Release the bottom of the line. We don't have the time to hurt and anger and pain and all our soul. Let it now go, let it back to the source. Alchemize it and reap the rewards. Plant good seeds and we will reap good harvest. Love, love, all and all the oh, love above all and in all be honest. Love above all and in all be honest. Oh, love above all, love above all. Oh, love above all, love above all else. Oh, love above all, love above all. Oh, love above all, love above all else. Oh, love above all, love above all. Oh, love above all, love above all. We are whispers in the wind, whispers in the wind, blood and dust, blood and dust. We are ancient
right, let's give one more round of applause for another. Thanks for hooking up the sound, you guys, too. This is crucial. Okay, so I wanted to just get us started with, we're going to have a couple speakers. You guys have a program there. We have a couple people talking. Mostly we're just trying to get you guys excited and involved with all of the legislation that's coming up right now. It's coming up really really fast. If you've been following it, you're probably feeling similar to me in that like you're kind of in a tidal wave or you're getting barreled. Like it's like surfing and then just not surfing anymore, just being underwater. So what we're hoping to provide a little bit of today is just some focus, because there's so many different issues that are concerning us that are happening right now. And I think it's important to highlight a couple of those issues and a couple of the groups locally that are working on the issues, because unless you're retired or unemployed and you don't have kids or grandkids or anything else in your life at all that you ever have to do, there's no way to follow all the legislation. So a really good way to get involved is to hook up with a couple of different groups that are doing this work already. And the Democratic Party, with the help of our chair, Margaret Willey, is really focusing on that already. We're already got these different legislative committees where we're focusing on environment, and I'm going to talk more about that, and workers' rights and human rights. So to find a group that's already focused on the issues that you care about, you amplify your voice. So that's what this group is doing that I'm going to introduce to you guys. And also, if you don't already know them, Tonya Coulter, she is the West Hawaii Vice Chair. So she's my position all together there. And Maya Parrish, she's the secretary for the Hawaii County Democrats. That's a huge workload, and she's doing an incredible job with it. So they are also the founders of Rally for Common Ground, and they're going to tell you more about that right now.
All right.
Hello there. My name is Maya Parrish, and as Shannon mentioned, I'm the secretary for the party for the county, and I won't take too much of your time because we all know that you're here to see Miss Nina Turner, as we are as well. But Tonya Coulter and I met in probably December of 2016, and we both decided we were ready to do something. So we got together and organized the rally after the Kona Women's March, which hosted about 4,000 people, and we brought in a bunch of speakers and different organizations, local organizations, lots of different booths, musicians, and we really felt that in addition to the march, it was really important for folks to have a place to land and then start to cross-pollinate and talk to each other about all of the amazing work that we're already doing. So from there, we went on to do the People's Climate March last year in 2017. We organized that. And we also worked on an event called Defend the Sacred, which was up in Hawaii, which was in solidarity with Standing Rock and all those who are protecting our natural resources and our sacred sites. So after that, both of us decided to run for an office within the Democratic Party because we wanted to work on things from the inside out. And we both got elected, so here we are. And we're really excited about what's coming up with the county and state conventions. I'm going to let Tonya tell you a little bit more about that. And how you can become delegates and get involved and get your voice heard. And we also are working on legislative priorities now that we're in session here, which only happens for 4 months. For our state, this is what is happening right now. Yeah, so we're working on different pieces of legislation that we want to champion. And you can get involved with one of those committees today. I will be right over there after the talk, so please come talk to me. Give me your email address and I'll get you on one of the contact lists. We're working on things like $15 minimum wage. We're working on things like banning oxybenzone to protect our marine resources. Right? We're working on pesticide restrictions. We're working on universal health care. These are things that are important to us that we think are going to really bring us into the Hawaii that we want to be living in, the Hawaii for the future, right? And really all working together and getting our voices heard. So please come see me. And if you're not yet really sure if you're ready to commit to being on a committee, I've got a little handout I can give you. You can take it home. You can think about it. But we need a groundswell. We need all of our voices being heard so we can really make an impact and make a difference. So thanks so much for being here today. And thank you in advance for your work to come.
Mention that we do have some worksheets up there about how to submit testimony. Maybe you're not ready to get on the committee, but maybe you're ready to submit some testimony, and that's a wonderful way to take action and take agency. So I want to talk a little bit about some really important upcoming dates. But first, I want to commend you all for being here today because this is direct action that you are taking to increase involvement at the county and state conventions for the Democratic Party. Your entrance fee is funding delegates to the state convention, and we want more voices there, more people there, more representation from the grassroots, and it begins with us. So we have some calls to action which put the dates out there for you. The very first thing that's most important is to come to your March 7th precinct meeting. They're happening county-wide. Yes, please do, come out, come over and see us. If you're not sure what district you're in, what precinct you're in, we will help you find your meeting, we will help you find your chair. And actually, we have some chairs in the house. If you wouldn't mind waving and standing. These are also people that... District 2 Chair, Charles Tuttle. District 1, Michael Janowski. District 5, Kane Data. District 4, Carrie Kealoha, and District 7, Rusty Eastman. Yeah. So your district chairs are here, many of them, and we encourage you to reach out to them. If you're not sure what your district is, we will find that. And then once you come to this meeting, this gives you an opportunity to consider running for a precinct position, which is a wonderful way to get involved right in your neighborhood, in the party. And then from there, to come to the conventions, to be able to vote on things like the platform for the Democratic Party in the county, and then at the state level, also voting on the platform and how the party is going to represent us.
What else shall we say? Tanya, precinct, ask for precinct president.
Do we have any precinct presidents in the room? Would you mind to stand and identify yourselves proudly? Thank you so much. Yeah, so, Rally for Common Ground came about, well, let me go back a little bit. So I'm from Vermont originally, so I'm actually originally an independent. And I've come here to Hawaii almost 3 years ago, and what I noticed was that there's a lot being done in the name of the Democratic Party here in Hawaii. And when we started Rally for Common Ground, we also recognized that there's a lot of us here that want representation and need representation. Sometimes they know to come to the table, and sometimes they don't. What we want to do is make avenues for people to come to the table, and being involved in your Hawaii County Party is one avenue to bring your voice and your message to the party at large. With Rally for Common Ground, we're more interested in environmental justice and social justice. And now I'd like to ask you to think about this concept as we all kind of turn blue, which is collaborative justice. So we talk sometimes about unification. I want to talk a lot about cooperation and collaboration because I think there's a lot that Hawaii holds in diversity, and I hope we can represent ourselves and our neighbors in our party. So aloha, and next I'd like to introduce Maureen Data. She'll be talking about the Hawaii Farmers Union United.
Aloha, my name is Maureen. I'm the Kona chapter president of Hawaii Farmers Union United. Hawaii Farmers Union has been in existence in Hawaii for 6 years. We have 13 chapters on 4 islands and about 1,350 members. So we're gaining more traction, and that gives us more clout at the legislation. There are 3 guiding principles to the Farmers Union. Cooperation is one of them. And so we work alongside the Farm Bureau, but we are not part of the Farm Bureau. We're a separate organization. And we focus on small family farms. The other 2 guiding principles of the Farmers Union, one is legislation. So right now we're focused on House Bill 2101, and that's relating to the Hawaii Association of Conservation Districts. And it's asking for an appropriation to the DLNR for operational expenses and staffing costs for the Hawaii Association of Conservation Districts. And then another important bill that's coming up this coming week that you could comment on and support is House Bill 2075, and that appropriates $250,000 for 3 full-time ag extension agents to focus on organic and sustainable growth. The Farmers Union membership gets you discounts at different places on the island. If you order seeds from Johnny's or you buy from Brewer Environmental, you get discounts from those organizations. And it also gives you a 5% discount at Family Naturals. There, right? So there are a lot of practical benefits, but also camaraderie and just getting to know other like-minded individuals who are focused on agriculture. And the Farmers Union is right now intent on building regional strength through agriculture. So that's kind of the focus, is trying to make us independent and not so focused on big ag and food that's traveled lots of miles, but more the local food movement. The third principle of the Farmers Union is education. So we support school gardens, Farm Corps, Go Hawaii, Hawaii Ag Leadership Foundation. There are a lot of ways to get involved, and for me, growing freedom is important. Thank you for your time. If you're interested in becoming a member of the Farmers Union, you can go to hfuuhi.org or see me here. Thank you. Anyone is welcome. All you have to do is support local agriculture. So if you want to see that thrive, join us.
Okay, so we had a few people that I was really excited to have join us today that weren't able to make it, partly because this all came together so last minute. At the Women's March, Tim kind of came over, Tim Van Devere, if you don't know who that is, by the way. He's over there, right there, waving. So he's our state party chair, and he came to me and at the Women's March and was like, do you know who Nina Turner is? And I was like, I think so. I'm like, I'm pretty sure. And he's like, well, like Bernie Sanders, he's like, she was one of the surrogates, like she traveled all around and rallied people up. And I was like, yeah, okay, Ohio's kind of a faraway place for me. Like, I'm really focused on local politics. So for me, I try to think globally but act locally. But then he was so excited about the fact that she was coming and she was going to be locally at our time. And I just thought, okay, well, he's like, well, is there any way we can, she's coming to everywhere else. Like, it'd be really nice to have her on the Big Island. But it's like really last minute, it's like 2 weeks away, kind of. He's like, can you pull something together? I'm like, sure, okay. And then I went and YouTubed and listened to some of her speeches, and I was just blown away at the power that this woman has, and all this female energy right now after the Women's March. I'm in the Vagina Monologues next week. It's at VHD Low. But like, I mean, it's a bunch of different women's issues. Manifest was just held in Puna, which is a women's-centered event, and so feeling all this powerful female energy, I've got some stuff going on. So I was like, we have to make this happen. We have to bring her here. And this is really important right now. There's a lot of issues that are coming up. And a lot of it, I think, personally, is that we don't have enough women running for office. So the more women this next election cycle, you guys are going to see it. It's a wave of women coming forward and saying, hey, it's our time to kind of step up too and have our voices heard. And I'm just really excited to be a part of it, and I'm really excited that Nina's here to share her message with us. And they had 2 other women lined up that I was hoping were going to speak to us today. One of them was Terry Napeahi, the other one was Kaylee Barnes. And neither of them were able to make it, but I just want to briefly mention the 2 big things that they're working on, because again, this is giving you guys some focus, right? There's so many different bills out there to support or to oppose. That's just as much our job as supporting bills, is sometimes we have to kill the bad bills. So getting aware of what bills are out there that we kind of need to have on our radar and be following. And there is a handout, like Tonya just mentioned, about how to submit testimony. And it can feel overwhelming, but I want to make it less overwhelming. So this is a really straightforward guide, how to submit testimony. My mom is computer illiterate, and she was able to submit testimony for the first time in following this guide. So if my mom can do it, you guys can do it. It's how to submit testimony online, really straightforward. On the other side, it's written testimony, the bare basics. Calling helps too. So call your senators, call your House representatives, call your county council members. But if you want to submit written testimony, book yourself out a time. Like, make an hour every Sunday evening for your hour to sit down and follow the bills that are important to you. And a couple that I find that I think are really important that I wanted to mention. One of them is some of the work the Keaukaha Action Committee is doing, and that's on water quality monitoring in East Hawaii. So we have one water control monitor, and that person is located in Kona. And we lost the position a few years back in Hilo. So we're trying to recreate that position because we think it's important for our water to be monitored, and so that we know the quality of the ocean water that all of our children and all of our friends are in almost every day. So that bill, if you guys want to write it down, it's HB 2276. And I believe it's already passed through the first committee that it needs to get through. So track it, follow it, submit your testimony now if you are in support of this. It seems like a really straightforward thing that we can do that would make a big difference. Shannon, you had something?
I just wanted to say, on Facebook, people can go to Hawaii Legislative Alerts. Hear about all these bills. A lot of the posts are just clicking send testimony.
Yeah.
So it makes it super easy on
Yeah.
Facebook.
Definitely. So yeah, thank you, Shannon, for that. So that's Hawaii Legislative Alerts. If you are on social media, if you do Facebook, that's a really good way to stay engaged and to submit testimony easily. If you're not on social media, though, this is something that anybody can do. You don't have to have a social media account. So that's a good way too, though. That's awesome. And they come up really fast. Usually it's like testimony you need to submit it by tomorrow. So if that feels overwhelming to you, again, if you follow some of these, you can get email alerts as well, which is really helpful. And then the other ones that I wanted to mention, this testimony is needed by tomorrow. So this would be your Sunday plan, right? So tomorrow, if not this evening, carve out a little bit of time. This is SB 3095. Again, that's SB 3095. And this is about disclosure and pesticide buffer zones. So this is something that a few different organizations have been working on for years. We got it passed at the county level throughout the islands, and then the courts said, oh, well, actually it's up to the state to decide to protect us from pesticides, or just even disclose what pesticides are being used, when and where. So now we're fighting at the state level, and I think we can do it if enough of us stand up and submit testimony. But that testimony is needed by tomorrow. And then the last one I wanted to mention, this is with Hawaii Wildlife Fund, so that's what Callie was going to be speaking on. Let's see, they've got a bunch of really awesome ones that they're working on. These are all mostly environmental. So these are about polystyrene foam containers, which we banned at the county level, so we're trying to work on that at the state level. There's 2 different bills. If you're interested in supporting that, come and see me. I can connect you with those bills. We're also, this passed its first reading. It's prohibiting the expenditure of state funds by state agencies for the purchase of single-serving bottled water, except under certain circumstances. So that's something, San Francisco did it. If San Francisco can do it, we can do it, right? I mean, I don't think it's that hard. Anyway, they're working on that. It passed the first reading, so it does still need our support. That's SB 801, if you guys want to support that one. And then a lot of these other ones, they're really detailed. So if you want to come and chat with me more about them, I'm happy to tell you some other bills if environmental stuff is your concern. And the last one I wanted to mention, this is the Hawaii Citizens End of Life Choices. So we're working on death with dignity so that people have a choice in the last couple weeks or months of their life, that they can consult with their doctor, and that choice should be between them and their doctor. And these bills to support are SB 2727 and HB 2739.
Bingo.
So, I know it's a lot, it's like really dense, right? But at the same time, this is really important.
Yes.
So that's why I'm spending so much time on it. And this is why I got involved, not just to do the logistics behind the scenes of like, let's get an event together that's going to be fun and we're going to eat good food and listen to good people talk, but let's do something. And we have the momentum and we have the power to do it. So this is one of the best ways I know to get involved. And if you're not already signed up for precinct club meetings, if you don't know what precinct you're in or where to go, come and see me. Today's your chance to get involved on that level as well. Because coming up really quick here, we have our March 7th precinct meetings. That's your first step to be able to come to the county convention and then to the state convention. So it's really, really crucial time to sign up for that. And then we also have, this isn't as much on my radar because my due date is April 7th, so that's like the important date in my mind. But April 7th is also a really important date for all of you guys to know because in Waimea, that's when we're planning our pre-convention meeting, which is when you get to actually submit your input on the rules and the resolutions, and that's what we're going to be working on at this county convention. So you want to get your input in at that meeting as well. So put that on your schedule too if it's not already on your calendar. And Tim's going to talk about this too, but first time ever, right, that we have the state convention being held somewhere other than Oahu. Chance for everybody to get their voices heard on the Big Island. So it's going to be in Kona on the last weekend of May. So I'm really looking forward to that. You guys all get to meet my new baby. Okay. All right, so anyway, you can see that we were waiting for some people. They're here. I'm going to let Tim introduce our next guest, and he'll talk to you guys more about the state and county convention. And if you have any questions at all, I'll be around. Thank you all for coming.
I spent a lot of time here as the chair. As many of you know who attended our last convention on Oahu, if it wasn't for Hawaii Island, I would be the chair of our party right now, and it's something I'll never forget. I'm really grateful for it because this has been an extremely humbling experience, and I'm honored to be the state party chair and to know each one of you. So thank you so much for being here today. This is what it's all about. This is exactly what it's all about. Listening to someone, I should back up a little bit and thank the woman who just spoke because she put this event together. As you can see, she has other things going on right now in her life. So I want to give a big shout out to Shannon Jackson, our East Hawaii Vice Chair, who did a tremendous job. So wonderful event. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. April 7th. That's the day to remember. That's the due date. So thank you again for putting that together on pretty short notice. Yeah, she's right. I initially, in envisioning this event with Senator Turner, I thought, you know, Hawaii Island's going to have a convention in Waikoloa, and that's in May, and so we've got limited time. We'll try to get her to Maui. We'll try to get her to Hawaii, and then, you know, the main event is in Oahu on Friday night, because that's where she's flying into. And boy, did I hear a lot from the Big Island. And I said, you know what, if we can squeeze it in, we're going to do it. I asked Senator Turner, she said, hey, I'm down. Whatever you guys want to do, I'm here to work. So thank you, Senator Turner. And thank you, people like Charles Tuttle, staying in my ear and making sure that we give the Big Island some love. Because as you guys know, as you heard, the convention will be in Waikoloa, so we thought it only appropriate to come to Hilo for this event and to bring Senator Turner. So this is quite the honor. I do want to recognize some folks that we have in our crowd. In the back, we have Senator Lorraine Inouye is joining us today. Aloha, Senator. Thank you so much for being here for your support of our party. Representative Chris Todd, one of our sponsors for this event. Aloha, Chris. Thank you so much. We've been donating a ticket so other members can attend this event today. We've already recognized our chairs and our precinct captains. I can tell you, precinct presidents, district chairs, precinct officers, this is the most we have had, and I bet you will have at any of our events, because on this island you were very fortunate. They are involved, on the ground, responsive to the membership, and I am forever grateful for you guys for being there, for our members. And I really appreciate it. We got some other folks in the room. Our former county chair, Phil Barnes, is here. We got Phil. There he is. Our state senate committee members, Brian DeLima in the back. Hello, Brian. Thank you for being here. Thank you to his wife as well for being here today, for making that happen. Mike Janowski is in the house, District 1 Chair, but also State Central Committee. So I'm going to be pretty brief because we've got some speakers that I think you really want to hear from today. And we built in some time at the end as well. So I hope you get a chance to meet with Senator Turner and to talk to her about the future of our party, because this is where the energy's at. When you hear her speak, you'll understand this kind of response, feeding off of this energy, this is where the future of our party is right now. If you've heard me speak before, it's almost invariable that I mention the New Deal, because I consider myself a New Deal Democrat. My great-grandfather didn't have a high school education, but he had about as much in common with Franklin Roosevelt as I do with Tom Brady, okay? Which is not much. With an East Coast blue blood patrician, he didn't have much in common with him, but he felt that Franklin Roosevelt was his best friend. Because what Franklin Roosevelt told him was, we're going to try to help you out. We're going to try to get you a job. We're going to try to make sure you got a roof over your head. And if we fail, we're going to try again. Because that's a fundamental role of government, is to make people's lives better. And I believe that to my core. And I believe our Democratic Party has come a long, long way from that in the recent past. And I can tell you, when Bernie Sanders ran for president, he said, be the change that you want to see in the world. And that's why I ran for party chair. It was a long shot, as many of you know. But that's why I ran for party chair. And it's just an incredible honor to be here with you wonderful people and with the folks that we're going to hear from. The first is a friend, not only to me, but of our party. She has never said no when we've asked her for her support, for her to help out with her constituents, our membership, even if they don't live in her district. And she's been there time and time and time again. And I'm so happy that she's here with us today. Please make welcome Congresswoman from Congressional District 2, Tulsi Gabbard.
It is so great to be here with all of you. Before I begin, I want to say thank you to Tim for his continued energetic leadership of our party, and specifically for making sure that in bringing Senator Nina Turner here, that he didn't just keep her in Honolulu, but organized a tour across our 4 counties, making sure that she had the opportunity to meet all of you, to receive your aloha, and to really learn more about all of the blessings and opportunities that we have here in Hawaii, all that makes our home special, as well as to see firsthand also some of the challenges that we face, that give us the purpose, that give us the motivation, the reason why we all continue to be in this fight for the people, for our planet. I wasn't sure on, lost track of the days here, late Thursday night, whether or not I'd be able to make it back. There was questions about votes and whether the government was going to be open or not, and I think I had like 8 different flights held because, okay, I'll be able, nope, didn't make that one. Okay, next, nope, didn't make that one. So we went in to vote at about 3 o'clock in the morning on Friday, walked off the floor at 6:30, had all my bags in the trunk, and I was saying, okay, what airport do I got to go to? Thankfully, I was able to get on a flight, landed in Honolulu yesterday at 5. I had a great event in Honolulu last night with Nina, and just grateful to be here just for this weekend, to be a part of this, because it is monumental. I want to say thank you to Shannon for your leadership in organizing this and bringing all this together. These things are never easy to do, so thank you for all of that. And thanks to each and every one of you for taking time out of your Saturday morning to come here and to give Nina and her husband Jeff a warm, aloha-filled welcome. I first got to know Nina, I first met her actually in 2014, I went to Ohio, where she was Senator and Nina Turner and running for Secretary of State, and I went there to support an event for one of my colleagues in Congress, and Nina happened to be speaking at that same event. And as you will see in a few minutes, I was floored by all that is Nina Turner. The energy, the passion, the compassion, and the care that she brings to everything that she does. She made such an impression on me on that day. I knew I wanted to be friends with her. I wanted to get to know her better, and a short time later, it was no surprise that at a time when it was very unpopular, she became one of the first leading voices to come out and endorse Senator Bernie Sanders. There are so many examples of her leadership, but they show a consistency of courage and being motivated purely by doing what's right. Not by doing what's politically advantageous or popular, not by what's going to make her the most friends or create opportunities for her professionally, but simply by doing what's right because she understands personally what's at stake.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I think she'll share with all of us here a little bit of her own story that has brought her to this path. I'm honored to serve with her as a founding fellow of the Sanders Institute. We're grateful to have her as the leader of our revolution, where she is literally going across the country. She is literally going across the country and walking the talk. You see her on television a lot, you see her talking at different events a lot, but she is a hands-on leader working with people in communities all across the country to organize and find ways to be able to make the kinds of grassroots changes that will be the only thing that bring about the reforms and change that we need to see in our party and therefore in our democracy in this country. Nina also served for almost the last year on the DNC's Unity Reform Commission. As some of you may know, this commission is made up of a number of members who were selected by Bernie Sanders, a number who were selected by Hillary Clinton, and others who were selected by the DNC chair, Tom Perez. It was a tough year. I heard from Nina and other friends of mine who served on that commission. As you can imagine, there were a lot of heated conversations and debates about what kinds of changes and reforms would come out from this commission with a united voice. And as you can expect, there was no one on that commission who came out thinking that they got everything they wanted. But they came out with strong recommendations for necessary progress. So part of what I know Nina's and my call to action is to the DNC is to actually pass and enact in the Rules Committee those recommendations that came out of this unified effort. Because that to me symbolizes the tough work that's ahead of us is, you know, we may have endorsed different people in the last presidential election. We have different ideas on how and what reforms are necessary, but that can only happen if we come together, build consensus, and figure out how do we take that next step, and then that next step, and then that next step. That's how we can make real change. It is my privilege and great honor to introduce Senator Nina Turner. Get ready. Hold on to your seats. Welcome Nina Turner with your warmest aloha, please.
the whole state. Love her. All the other, like, I don't know, oh, still here. I know she has a wedding to go to, but I just want to thank her so much for her graciousness, for her gifts. She came back and had a powwow with me back there in the kitchen, and I was reminiscing about what it was like to try to hop from event to event to event, so I fully know what that is like, but I just want to thank you so much for being here to greet me. And where's the representative? Nice to meet you. Thank you for hosting us. So really glad to be here, my husband and I. I feel like we're doing a flyover. Let me tell you something, the chairman is working me. Yeah, the whirlwind. But I couldn't think of a better state to do a whirlwind tour. We're coming back. So big shout out again to Shannon and the team for all of her great work. I know that, it definitely takes teamwork to make the dream work. And none of us can do this work all alone. And to the chairman of the Hawaii Democratic Party, let me tell you what a gem, what a fierce fighter that you have in him. I wish we can duplicate him all over this country because we need one chairman. He is running the faith in the Democratic Party, one state at a time. We have another, he has a sister by the name of Jane Clabb in Nebraska who serves on our Revolution Board. She's another one. There are about 10 of them in the Democratic Party that helps me to just try to keep my faith that we can turn this thing around. And thinking about turning this thing around, I met 2 infiltrators. That's how they introduced themselves to me, Tanya and Maya. And they said flat out, we just infiltrated the Democratic Party. I love me some good infiltrators, you know what I mean? Infiltrators for good. So I'm loving them, sisters, so I had to shout them out too. Lord have mercy. All right. So, man, I don't even know where to start. My God, this is a lot. A lot is going on in this state. A lot is going on in this country. But I want you to keep the faith. And I know a lot of times it's hard to do that, but you got to keep the faith. And if you keep the faith anywhere, this is the place to be able to keep the faith. And keeping the faith doesn't mean that you settle for what's going on. I mean, one of the things that I love about your chairman is that he is not afraid to admit that some things need to change in the larger Democratic Party. That's called leadership. He is not afraid, and that's a so yes, the Congresswoman mentioned we was in Honolulu. Right there, get it all right? That's it. Because Noe told me it's not Honolulu, it's Honolulu. I know that's right. Come on now. I got it. I'm speaking the language. My husband and I, and just really enjoying ourselves in the hospitality that is here. Man, really living up to that aloha spirit that Congresswoman Gabbard talks about everywhere that she goes. So sister got to come back. I'm coming back. Gotta come back. So, just the grassroots is the key to change. Sometimes we get caught up with people with big titles, fancy titles. Titles are really good because they do allow you, if you are focused. Because you don't want people just to have a title who they're just so giddy about being in the room and they forget why they're in the room. They just want to be there, be surrounded by folks instead of working for the people. So I mean that this is not me being flip. Titles really are good, but purpose is better. And we need more purpose-driven people in elected office, but not just in elected office, because none of us, whether you served or you're serving now, we can't do the great things that we need to do without your push, the push of the grassroots, the demands of the grassroots, keeping us all accountable to why we serve. That is so vitally important. Now, I got to tell you, Big Island, I come from the church of call and response. So, in the African-American culture, and African-American tradition, we call and respond. So I want you to feel very comfortable. You can clap it up, you can say amen, aloha, whatever you want to say. You can talk back to a sister, because that's how I'm rolling. So I just want you to feel free to do that. So the grassroots is the key to change. And, we must protest, but we also must plan. Amen. Okay, we can't... Y'all quick. Y'all cranking. Got it. Y'all quick. See, we just can't have people who... Thank you, Councilman. We just can't have folks... protest is good. Resistance is good. God, dog it, I can't go too far. Listen, resistance is good. know Mr. Trump is this big distraction. He really is. But even when he's gone, we're going to still have some of the same problems and concerns what you all are dealing with in Hawaii that I was told about, especially here on the Big Island, your environmental concerns, geothermal concerns, concerns that the White Mountain is being abused, that we are abusing Mother Nature, that you have income and wealth inequality in this state, the highest unemployment, or not unemployment, the highest homelessness, the Congresswoman told me, of any state in this country. There's something wrong with that. And see, that kind of stuff existed before that man took office. So what I want to say to my sisters and brothers in the Democratic Party, and especially those of us who are on the progressive side, is that yes, we must confront any of the bigotry and hatred and just flat out wrongness that comes from that administration, no doubt about it. But we also have to show people and share with people what we stand for, what we believe in, and what we gonna do when we get the power. It ain't enough just to talk about that. The chairman shared with me that at one time this state had the best health care in the country. And that was before the Affordable Care Act. Now, the Affordable Care Act was good, but sometimes when you introduce legislation, and I know our elected officials in here understand this, sometimes you have unintended consequences. For everything that we try to fix, sometimes we create another problem that we have to try to fix. And we're always trying to fix. And we have to understand that the ACA was the first step in a longer journey to be in a civilized society in the 21st century and call ourselves the United States of America means we must unite to make sure that we have universal health care in this country. That the government is us. And they are obligated. See, the reason why we have government. See, government, people want to, especially some of our more conservative sisters and brothers, I'm going to talk about one of my real brother who is a conservative, my blood brother who's a conservative. And I talk to him every morning at 7:30 in the morning because we're trying to understand each other. We're just trying to understand each other. But unlike some of our conservative sisters and brothers, and they're not all wrong. You know, they're really not all wrong. But let me make this point to you. Government is not a business, but it makes money. It makes money. It has our money, the people's money. But government's role, the reason why we unite the way that we do, because government's role is for us to do collectively what we cannot do as individuals. Whether it's a national disaster or otherwise, I don't hear folks saying I want less government. They want government to come in and help right now. You're absolutely right. And so we cannot let other folks who just want to malign the purpose of government to have the biggest voice and to have the last say. We should be proud of what we stand for collectively, us together. We can do anything. And speaking of Medicare for all, let me just say this. If you got elected officials, it's okay for them to have the best health care that our money can buy. But then they don't have the courage to stand up and say, let us go ahead and invest the taxpayers' dollars in a way that not only is the morally right thing to do, but it's the economically right thing to do. We can get both. We have world and we pay more money per capita. That's not a good way to get a return on your investment. The way you invest is to make sure that people are not dying, that people that don't have to ration out their medicine, that people don't have to worry about the thing that is their true wealth. Our health is our true wealth. And it's our money. You know, the urban poet Tupac said we got money for wars, but we can't feed the poor.
Amen.
And, you know, your congresswoman is the one, she is the leading voice in that Congress talking about interventionist wars. She talks about how she gets beat up pretty bad. We both do. You're talking about a profile in courage. Not only does she talk about those she has hard meetings? Because at least she can sit across from somebody and say, you know, at least we had the conversation. Even if you don't want to roll my way, at least I had the courage enough to sit down with you across the table and let's talk this thing out. That is important. And it is too bad, so sad, that in this political climate, that even talking to somebody who you may not agree with most of the time gets you maligned and thrown out and called out. To me that we would do that to each other. So I fully have the highest hopes that those of us on the progressive side, that we will check ourselves and make sure that we're doing what we do in love. Now love is fierce. Love is not weak. Love is fierce, baby. Love is fierce. Love is strong. Amen. And you know, Stephen Covey once said, you know, he's a world-renowned leader in leadership, and he said, seek first to understand and then to be understood. Why can't we have understanding one to another even if we don't agree? Why I gotta talk about you and your mama and your dog and your cat and everything that you love? You know, don't go on social media. Just don't go on social media because you won't even recognize yourself on some of that stuff, the way they talk about you. You know, they tell the story the opposite way from the way you see it. And it's just tearing people down. And we talk to our young people about bullying. And this is a serious point. We talk about bullying and the trauma that it causes. And you got grown folks on social media just because we don't agree with each other, just tearing each other down. And you know, politics today, and it has always been this way, don't get me wrong, but with the technology and how fast and 24-hour news cycle, we are being reprogrammed that it is okay to tear people down. See, these days, it's not enough just to win. I gotta annihilate my opponent. I gotta make sure that they never get off the ground ever again, instead of just being hard on the issue and soft on people. Can we just do that? Love is real. Now I gotta give a shout. None of this was in my remarks, but you know, when I come to a place, I like to have some conversations with folks. So I met with Miss Suzuki, and she is a naturalized citizen. She talked about how she is an independent, and I wanted to know why. And she said, you know, just these part, you know, I don't want to be, she didn't say trapped, but she just said, you know, I'm an independent thinker. I got my own mind. I believe in in what the Senator Sanders is promoting. I believe in what you guys are doing at our revolution. I don't believe in superdelegates. She said, I want to judge for myself. And when I say she's a small business owner, her business, which I got to get there next time I come, Dragon Mama. Dragon Mama. She didn't know I was going to do this. You never know. When I'm talking to folks, you just never know. Watch out. But she said that she came from a politically conscious family. She just she wants to have the freedom to think for herself. And who doesn't want that? The overwhelming majority of the people who are registered voters in this country identify as independent voters. That is an opportunity that the Democratic Party should take advantage of instead of shunning and discriminating against independent voters. Embrace it. Good Lord, have mercy. I'm just trying to understand this thing. Let me tell you something. When I start calling on God, it's serious. It's serious. So let's get serious. So this is it now. So we gotta protest and we have to plan. And the reason why we have to plan is that when we win the seats back, what type of people, what are we going to do then? If we spend all our time protesting this man for the next 3 years, and we're not planning. There's an African proverb that says that one must never build their shield on the battlefield. Well, it's shield building time right now. 2018 is a very important midterm election cycle. But you know what? Last year was just as important too. And that is why at our revolution, we support candidates from the school board member all the way up. Because we know every single build a progressive country just by one great or magnificent president, people who we like. And Big Island, can I just say this to you? My God, we can like elected officials, but don't like them so much that you don't challenge them. If they're not doing the right thing, have a conversation. You ain't got to talk In the last 8 years, Democrats have lost 1,100 seats. I served in the state legislature in Ohio where my Republican colleagues had super majorities. They were so tough, they didn't need Democrats to come on the floor of the Senate or the House. They could do the people's business without us. What kind of one-sided foolishness is that? And so that was way before Mr. Trump even took office. Some of your environmental concerns, your income and wealth inequality concerns, your concerns about protecting the resources here, your concerns about the fact that your tax dollars are pouring out of here and not benefiting the people who actually live here. All of those concerns that you have are bigger than one man in the office. Don't let him siphon all of our energy so much so we don't think and dream bigger dreams. We got a program and we got a plan. And so we have to organize. And when you're done organizing, organize some more, because an organized people can transform this nation one community, one city, one state at a time until the whole nation is consumed. Sisters and brothers, we are winning. Our ideas are winning. Let me give you a couple of examples. We don't have some Q&A here. I'm just getting warmed up. The sister just getting warmed up, and I gotta cut it off because I want to have this dialogue. But let me tell you something. Let me give you some real examples. Now, leaders don't just look at polls, but polls just are a snapshot in time. They kind of barometer. They just kind of test it. It gives you a test. But you can't live and die by a poll. But let me just tell you this. The polling in this country says that the overwhelming majority of Americans, regardless of their political affiliation, they believe that the federal government should take a bigger role in health care. See, that is an idea whose time has come. And I will continue to travel because I just believe that leaders ought to listen to what the people have to say, eyeball to eyeball. Even folks who might not agree with us. You know, I was in Tyler, Texas with Jim Hightower, who's a legend in Texas. Shout out to Jim Hightower. He's on the board of our revolution. Let me tell you what Hightower said. So we went 5 cities, 900 miles in 3 days. He took a sister from Austin all the way to bright red Tyler, Texas. In Tyler, Texas, let me tell you something, the progressives were there. We even had some moderate Republicans there. And you know why we did? Because people are hungry. They're hungry to be heard. They're hungry for change. They are hungry. And it doesn't matter, amen to that, feed them. And it doesn't matter if you are a leader with some heart and some conviction and you talk to folks, not talk down to folks. How is it that on the liberal side, we think that we're smarter than anybody else? We talk down to folks, calling them basement dwellers and deplorables, and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. We can't win folks over by thinking that we're smarter than them. We can't win them over. We gotta have a conversation. Now in that conversation, we might not agree, but that's okay, because it's called America. Why is it that we only want people to have choice if they pick the choice that we want them to choose? Well, what kind of choice is that? So we gotta win folks over, win them over, win them over, win them over. And then leave there with at least a respect for their humanity, if nothing else. If nothing else. So we gotta do that. And there are too many elected officials, even ones that we like, they benefit from all of this division. They're trying to sow seeds of division. And yes, do politicians use moments for political expediency? Yes, they do. But meanwhile, back at the ranch, if that's all you care about, see, I believe that you should do everything to win, but not anything to win. You should draw a line sometimes. I just believe that. So this is partially about the man in the White House, but what we really need to ask ourselves is what happened to make that happen? That's a whole other conversation, another speech. But let's just say I would rather be saying President Bernie Sanders right now. What I love about his leadership, he understands that this is not about him. He said, this is not about me, this is about us. This is why we have a people's revolution. And this revolution is going to change the country. And this is not the first time that we've been in a revolutionary moment. Can you just follow me for just one minute? 18th century American Revolution, right? The fight was for liberty. For liberty. At that time, liberty. freedom from Great Britain. The second revolution that we had in this country came in the 19th century with the Civil War. That fight was bloody and was over slaves, trading in black bodies, generation after generation after generation. See, folks get this twisted. We want to talk about racism. It's not just the word, but we're talking about systemic racism. That's a deeper type of racism. We're talking about the kind of racism that is the reason that Flint has dirty water to this day. We're talking about the kind of racism where you write into house deed restricted covenants. Written into the deed, don't sell to black folks. They didn't even say black folks, they said something else. Don't sell to them. And even sometimes Jewish folks. We're talking about a system that relegates children based on who their parents are. Their zip code determines the type of education that they are going to get. We're talking about a system that denies people based on their race the ability to live out their greatest greatness. This is no superficial, trivial thing. And when politicians play games with that, I start having flashbacks about my ancestors and how they really got over it. We have to deal with this as a nation, whether Mr. Trump is in the White House or not. We got to deal with sexism, whether he is in the White House or not. See, folks was okay with some of this stuff before he got there. So yeah, let's point out his hypocrisy, no doubt about it. But you know what Michael Jackson said? Looking for in the man and the woman in the mirror. We all have a responsibility that even when we like politicians, if things are not going right, we can have this civil conversation about the direction that we want to go in. Having our millennial generation saddled with debt, even not just the millennials, but Gen X's are still paying off debt from student loans when you go out and you do what this country asks you to do by getting a higher education and you walking across the stage with a degree in one hand and debt in the other, and you need a job that pays 6 figures, not so you can live life well, but just to be able to pay your college debt. There's something wrong with that. In the wealthiest country on the face of the earth, there's something wrong with that. And there's something wrong with the fact that we will imprison more of our sisters and brothers, and I know that is an issue in the state of Hawaii, sending folks out of this state where they can't even be with their families. And in our native population of this land, treated poorly, disproportionately. Hawaii, you are beautiful. It's not that you are beautiful, but do you know how you were forged from volcanoes under the sea? Gee, the pressure, right? The pressure created this beautiful landmass. If anybody knows that great things can come out of pressure, the state of Hawaii knows that. That's how people are created. We're not backing down. We can handle the pressure. Beautiful things will come out of this pressure. My God, organize. So we must protest and we must plan. We must persevere. Sometimes we're going to get some things quickly, and then other times it's going to take generations. I'm looking at this millennial generation. I got a millennial in my life. My husband and I, we got a millennial. And I see great hope there. I do. They are the most diverse. They are the largest generation of our lifetime to this moment. And I see lots of hope in them. They are leading the way. And it wasn't just because 2 million more of them voted for Senator Sanders. I'm not just saying that's the only reason. But let me just say this. That's why they picked the oldest millennial I know. Man, oh man. Now the Congress, you can tell you, Tulsi, keeping up with the brother is hard. Senator Sanders is on a mission, but that mission is about us. It's not about him. He lit the match. He sparked the flame, but it's our job to keep it burning. Y'all with me? We gotta keep it burning. So our revolution, we are working very hard to do that. Shouting out to my Our Revolution, to the independent folks in here. If we got Green Party, Libertarian, whoever, everybody is welcome. Everybody is invited because we are in this together. And that's what I love about Libertarian. This is not about what you label yourself. It's about what you stand for, your value proposition. And if people don't value stuff, we don't need them. We don't need them just to whisper sweet nothings in our ear, and then they do absolutely nothing because they're controlled by their donors, donors. I mean, not owners, they're donors. We have to deal with the excesses of money, big money, concentrated money in politics, that these politicians can be bought off in this way, that the more money you have, the more speech you have. There's something wrong. The system is rigged. It is rigged by big corporations. It is rigged against us. We're going to do something about it. So in order for us to get Medicare for all, in order for us to deal with income and wealth inequality and all of the isms that plague us as a society, we first have to deal with the overwhelming influence of big money and individuals with big money, and the fact that we live in a country where poverty has now become a crime, that we don't stand up for people anymore. There's something wrong with that. We got to deal with that. So, whatever you care about, whatever brought you here today, whatever issue it is, all roads lead to campaign finance reform, that we have to make sure going to the highest bidder. So that's what we're doing. Even people who we like. The system is rigged and there's something wrong with it, that people like us that come from our backgrounds will be hard pressed even to run for the Senate or the House of Representatives, even on the state levels of government, because of the enormous amounts of money that it takes to even run. There is something wrong with that. The system is rigged, and in order to fix it, we can fix it. But democracy is a participatory sport. Now, sisters and brothers, we can't sit on the sidelines. Now, you got to be in it, baby. You got to have some skin in the game. You got to do some work. Time, talent, treasure, whatever it is. Because I don't believe there's any force on this earth that is greater than people power, conscious-minded people, black, brown, and white. And everybody in between, just conscious-minded folks working for causes that are greater than ourselves. You know, President Nelson Mandela once said that it always seems impossible until it is done. We're going to do it. It always seems impossible. First one, the second one, the third one. Now we're in the fourth leg of the revolution, the 21st century revolution. This revolution, the people's revolution. It is time for another revolution, the American Revolution. The civil rights movement was a revolution. American Revolution. Liberty. The themes were the same. The Civil War, another revolution. The themes were the same, give or take. And the civil rights in the 20th century and here in the 21st century. Now we're going to have a new revolution. And that revolution is about people. It is about taking care of Mother Earth in a way that she has not been taken care of for generations. It is about making sure that we have a healthcare system where a mother that I met in Louisville, Kentucky, where mothers don't have to worry about if their children are born with a pre-existing condition, whether or not they can get health care for them on one end and life insurance on the other. That's what this is about. You know, I met a young man last night, his name is Joey. He was telling me how his mother was a special education teacher in the Bronx, and she had ovarian cancer. Now, she died because of that, but while she was living, the fact that she had to work and continue to work just to get her health care. Isn't it a beautiful thing to have health care not tied to a job? That we just have? She died. And we fight for Joe and future people like his mom. So I just want to say to you that we have the power. It seems daunting at times, but we really do. We have it. I know that we have it. We've done some great things in this country. We will continue to do those things, but it takes people power to do it. And we must persist. We got to be persistent. We must persevere. Perseverance is real. And we must do it in love. And the reason why I'm talking this love, and I believe this in my heart, when I told you that my brother, I come from a mixed family, my brother is a conservative Republican. And we do talk every morning because I'm trying to understand. He's trying to understand me. But this one thing that I do know, that if I needed a blood transfusion, my conservative Republican brother would give me that blood. If I needed a kidney, my conservative Republican brother would give me his kidney. What are you saying, Nina Turner? I am saying this, that we should not allow one election cycle or this political climate that we are in to separate us from loving people and understanding even if we don't agree. Even if we don't agree. I remember when the comment was made about deplorables, and my brother called me up and he said, I guess I'm one of those deplorables. And you know, that really cut me, that hurt me. Because I love my brother and he loves me. Now, we don't agree politically, we just don't. But we understand each other. And that's all this is about, just getting understanding one to another. Because love really is the fiercest of them all. Love is the fiercest of them all. It is for the love of this country that we stand up and we fight for social justice. It is for the love of this country that we identify that things are wrong that we can make right. See, it's because of love. Love is the fiercest of them all. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King once said that darkness can't drive out darkness, only light can do that. And he said hate can't drive out hate, only love can do that. Love stands up. Love speaks truth. Love doesn't tear down, but it speaks truth. So I want you to understand that we can do those things. And it is for love of wanting to create a better America and by extension a better world for ourselves and the next generation. The reason why I do what I do is because of my background of struggle, of being born to teenage parents who were married and it didn't work out, and growing up the majority of my life in a single parent household, having my mother die at the young age of 42 years old and her dreams deferred. And being 22 years old myself, the oldest of 7 children, 7 of us, the youngest was 12, I'm 22, I'm married, I got a son, and my husband and I instantly, not only do we have a son, but we got 6 of my other siblings to take care of. Not only did my mother die at the young age of 42 years old, with her dreams deferred, as Langston Hughes asked in one of his most seminal poems, what happens to a dream deferred? She died on the system of welfare. She did not have a life insurance policy, and she had no money in the bank for 7 children. And I prayed to God, because I do believe that there are forces greater than us, that God will give me strength. I will become a cycle breaker for my mother's memory. And there are many people in this country trying to break cycles of addiction, cycles of poverty, cycles of hopelessness, cycles of helplessness. And my God, is it too much to ask the United States of America? Is it too much to ask the state of Hawaii? Is it too much to ask people who take oaths of office, who we give our power temporarily to do what is the right thing on behalf of the people that they serve? I say that it is not too much to ask. And in my mind's eye, I see my mother's struggle everywhere that I go. And I see it in the eyes of people all over this country, from Texas to Hawaii to Florida to Ohio to Oregon to all over this country. I see it. California, I see it. And that is why, see, being a Democrat, that's one thing, but I'm a hell-raising humanitarian. That's my part. That's how I roll. We gotta do this while you know about the pressure, what pressure can build. So I just want you to organize. Listen, the chairman needs some folks. Shannon needs some folks. Now, if you have not signed up, and you can keep your independence, but I want you to help this brother. You got to help him build this part. Because see, he's all over this country, and he's showing other chairpersons across this country how it's really done. How it's really done. So I want you to support. Donate to the cause. You need some money for the mission. My mother can't buy you love, but it get you a few likes. If we can get some $3 reoccurring donations going for the Hawaii Democratic Party, that would be a beautiful thing. Grandma, I said to my husband, like, babe, should I talk, because people have been texting me and tweeting me, knowing that we're here, and in my last tweet, are you there with Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard? No, they asked the Congresswoman, is she here with the rebel rouser, Nina Turner? That's what they said on Twitter. I answered, I said, oh yeah, we together, making trouble, making good trouble everywhere we go. But, my signature. So, grandmother, my mother's mother, and man, this was a hard year for me. In 1992, my mother died, and then my grandmother died 4 months after her. That was a hard year, so I understand pressure. So if people want to know why I'm fighting like hell, it is because of my experience. And why I do understand that people with power have the biggest obligation to serve. So if people want to call me an angry black woman, hell yeah, maybe I'm mad about a whole lot of stuff. And I'm taking applications. We can go over there. Anybody can join the club. If you want to join the club. You're going to be angry with a purpose. You'll be mad with a purpose. With a purpose. So meanwhile, back to grandma. So my grandmother was born in 1913. And grandma couldn't read or write. She could count her money. Sisters, she could count her money. And she kept her money in the Southern Ladies Bank and Trust. All of my ladies are covering up that baby. But I'm gonna tell you something. She was one of the fiercest women I've ever known. And you know, my grandmother, I just couldn't even understand why she kept her money there. She would keep her money in a handkerchief on one side. And she packed a pistol on the other. I just couldn't understand. That's what grandma would do, amen. And you know, one day I said, Grandma, because I'm young, I'm like, Granny, why you keep your money there? She said, Nina, these are the only 2 suckers I can trust. But, you know, even though she didn't have a formal education, she had what we call in the African American community mother wit, which means that she was just innately smart. I'm sure that you have some word for that in the Hawaii tradition. And when I asked my grandmother, what does it take to be successful? She said, my dear granddaughter, all you need are 3 bones, the wishbone, the jawbone, and the backbone. She said, the wishbone will keep you hoping and praying because hope is the motivator, but the dream is the driver. The reason why we do what we do each and every day is because we hope and believe that tomorrow will be better than today. She said, the jawbone will give you courage to speak truth to power. Lift your voice. Don't just sit on the sidelines. When you know that things are going wrong, when you see something, say something, right? That's what they say when we walk through the airport, say something, stand up, speak your voice. Nobody can take your place. But she said, the most important bone of them all, the supercalifragilistic expialidocious bone. Millennials don't know nothing about that. Supercalifragilistic, what? Mary Poppins, just go on and watch Mary Poppins. But she said the most important bone of them all is the backbone. Because the backbone will keep you standing through your trials and tribulations. See, we all gonna go through some stuff, but we can't have a testimony without a test. And we are being tested to determine whether we have courage enough, conviction enough, confidence enough to do what is right, to stand up, to speak that truth to power, to wish, hope, and work for a better future, and to use our backbone even in the midst of people telling us that we are wrong and that it cannot happen and that we want ponies. Yeah, we do want some ponies. We do. I want them in the form of health care for all. I want them in the form of environmental protections for Mother Earth. I want them in the form of making sure that we are not just throwing our sisters and brothers in prison without having a way to reform them. So they can get a second chance, sometimes a third chance, sometimes a fourth chance. The worst of the worst, we get that. They have to be locked up. There are a lot of folks who need redemption. They just need an opportunity. Yeah, that's how we work. So Big Island, we got big things that we have to do, and it cannot be done without the people in this room and people just like you all across this country. All great things have happened because ordinary people put a little extra on that ordinary. Extraordinary things happen. All right, Big Island. Are you with me? Can I get some amen? Congresswoman, you with us? Congresswoman is with us. We know what it takes to do. So with that, we gonna come on up. Come on, Chairman, is it time? Oh, Shannon's up here. Okay, the girl power has returned. I'm just taking over the meeting. So she gonna lead us to our next steps here. And I'm gonna ask the Congresswoman to answer some of these questions. Is that all right? Shannon, because you're the boss.
Well, we only have time for a couple questions.
Oh, no,
You
because
have
I took,
you have plenty.
a lot of time.
But yes. But it was.
It was just right.
Um,
I love you guys.
So I just want to say, I think the vibe is good because all the questions we got, you've covered most of them. So there we go. But we got a lot of really awesome questions, and so one of the themes that I was seeing here is there's a lot of concern about how can we move the Democratic Party back to its roots as a supporter for workers, unions, and basic social rights. So that's one of the themes. It's this whole stack here. There's a bunch of them talking about, like this one. Those of us who consider the National Democratic Party has lost its soul, what can you tell us to give us hope? I mean, we did a lot of that already, but I think that's the concern. People are talking about who can run for president in 2020. They want to know if either you guys or... but I mean, basically that's the theme is a lot of questions are saying, what can we do to motivate people, get millennials involved? How do we do that? To speak to those who feel disempowered and disenfranchised, how do we get them to get involved?
I want Congresswoman and I can answer these questions together. We will complement each other. You know, no. No party. I mean, listen. There's some of us who want to work within the Democratic Party to make it better, who have not given up on it, and there's some people that I've met, and I'm sure the Congresswoman has too, who are over it. And I get it, and I respect that too. I'm just saying that whatever you do something to make the change, to be the change, whatever you do in your space and place. The Democratic Party has failed. That is the reason why we lost 1,100 seats over the last 8 years. That didn't happen by accident. And in order, though, for this party to get back to being the party of the people, the party of FDR, the party of Congresswoman Shirley Chisholm, the party of Congresswoman Jordan, is you. It's you. It's doing what your chairman is trying to do. And I'm not saying that just because he's in the room. When I talk to folks who say, where's our infiltrators? You got to do that? Take it over. I've heard progressives say, some progressives feel as though they need to leave this party, and others feel as though, why the hell should we leave? Let the establishment leave. It's our party. It's going to take work, and we're going to be disappointed sometimes, so we can turn this thing around.
You know, during 2016, just as Bernie Sanders was really starting to gain the national attention, as more and more people were seeing how many hundreds of thousands of people across the country were making those $27 donations, I think everyone recognized this was a game-changing moment. And as this was happening, I was excited because it was the perfect manifestation of the people taking ownership for our future and saying, hey, politicians, you work for me. And I'm going to work with you to be a part of that change. What was interesting to me is I was sharing my excitement with one of my Democratic colleagues in the House of Representatives on the House floor during votes one day. And I said, God, isn't it incredible? Bernie Sanders is raising more money than his political opponents through these $27 donations. And I was shocked by the response that I got. Maybe I shouldn't have been. But he said, Tulsi, don't you realize that this threatens every single one of us who serve in Congress, who have an advantage as incumbents because you get all the political PAC and the lobbyist support because you have the quote-unquote power. And that if people in communities across the country organize and give that $5, that $10, which adds up with that collective effort, then you threaten those who rely on corporate money to keep their positions of power. So that's what, exactly. So, I mean, that's an example of what's happening right now in this country.
Was that a Republican?
That is a Democrat, a senior Democrat serving in the House of Representatives. So when you're asking, what do we do? What can we do? Provide that pressure. Counter that corporate, political, special interest, big money power with the ever more powerful power coming from each and every one of you. Exactly. Because that, as Nina said very eloquently, that is the most powerful force that we can provide. So we're talking about change. How do we bring about change in our political system, in our political party? This is where it starts. Here in Hilo, in Conan, every island across this state and every community across the country, we can take that power back if we take action.
I did just want to do a couple of things. I do want to answer this question, at least help to answer this question. But first, I wanted to say thank you so much, Congresswoman. I understand you have to jump on a plane. This did come together very much at the last minute. We're headed to Maui after this. Her plane is actually a lot earlier than our plane leaves, so you're supposed to be at the airport now, I understand. So thank you so much, Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard. This truly is, in many ways, a whirlwind. And we were getting flights and making reservations, and I invited the senator to come back when she could actually spend some time on the ground and actually get to know folks. But we certainly appreciate her time and our Congresswoman as well. But to help answer that question, Senator Turner, is what can we do? Well, the first step is doing what you're doing right now, and that is realizing that politics in some form or fashion impacts your life and showing up. Showing up to support good people like Senator Turner, showing up for your party. If you're a precinct president, if you're a district chair, if you're a rank and file member who gives a damn. It's so important that you're here today. So I want to thank you again for being here. And I want to do a little bit of a shout out for some of the next steps, other ways you can get involved. Because some folks have approached me, new to the islands, maybe you've been here for a long time, maybe you're burned out on being a member of any political party. But there's very tangible ways you can get involved right now. And the first is coming up in less than a month on March 7th. It's our biennial precinct meetings. Doesn't that sound like a blast? But I'm going to tell you, the biennial precinct meeting is the first way to get involved with Grassroots. Get yourself elected to your precinct, step up. I started as a precinct secretary. Once I'd done that for a little while, I became a precinct vice president. Once I'd done that for a little while, I became a district treasurer. And then I was a district chair, and then as I said earlier, I had a crazy idea, and here I am. But during the March meetings, during the March 7th meetings, a Wednesday night from 6 to 8, okay, and on your program, it lists all the meetings, it lists a website where you can go to find out if you don't know what precinct or district you're in, it's right there, it's a link. On the big sheet we have in the back, it shows all the different locations where the meetings are going to be held this time around. You can also get yourself elected as a delegate to the county convention or the state convention, which for the first time in 30 years is being held on a neighbor island, the first time ever, in my knowledge anyway, it's being held on this island in Waikoloa. So please step up and get involved. That's the way that you can help to change your party, make it reflect your values. You want to support the progressive energy that's going on in our party right now, that's the way to do it, is to get involved. And so I invite you to be a part of those biennial meetings. I also, who's got a cell phone on? Get your cell phones out. And while you're getting them out, I'm going to take a picture of you getting your cell phones out. This is another way to find out what's happening. This is something new that we're doing in our party. One of the things we've been trying to do is make our party more inclusive, more transparent, and more participatory. And so if you text to the following number, Lord, I hope I brought it, 38470. 38470. Text the word Nina to 38470. You'll get a text from your state party. We'll tell you where to go, when to show up, what to do, and how to become involved and be a better Democrat. I really, really appreciate you for being here. So let's get back to the question.
Okay, so Senator Turner, just a couple more questions. And if some of you are like very, very hungry and it's hard for you to focus, there is food back there if you want to sneak away a couple at a time to start making yourself a plate. Okay, so this is the other like big theme is will our revolution take a position against U.S. I can't read that word, sorry guys, over North Korea? So there's the theme, okay, saber rattling? This is rattling, okay, got it, okay. So there's a bunch of them about fear of North Korea, which is something would have been awesome to have Tulsi Gabbard weigh in on too. But basically, the theme that people are asking about is military-industrial complex, is that we keep spending all this money where we could be spending it on, on all those things that you're talking about. So that's the big thing that I have like 6 of these. These are all about we're scared, we feel the worst. Like how do we turn that into positive hope, and how do we take the money out of the military?
Yeah, I know you guys had that big scare. It was,
It's like having a gun put to your head.
I get it, and I think, the Congresswoman is gone now, but we do appreciate her leadership on that and getting the right answer and getting that out as soon as possible. But we live, not just in the country, but in the world. Some of the things that I talked to you about what politicians are doing to each other, whole countries are doing that to each other. And that is why we need a totally different leadership dynamic, not just in our country, but in the world. When Dr. King said what affects one directly affects us all indirectly, it does matter who the leaders are in other countries. It's not just us. And so, North Korea, coupled with a president who doesn't understand the position in the universe that he holds and why to whom much is given, much is required. But again, all of that goes back to politics. It goes back to who we elect. And so we're going to make it through this. This is not the first time that we've been confronted with this kind of stuff. But let's not carry that fear in such a way that it makes you, that it paralyzes you, that you can't act and move. We have to change the political dynamic by changing the people who hold these offices. And so we need more candidates who will speak out against war. We have a World War III, all of us. We can't go there. So that's the biggest way. It's just one community, but just try not to be gripped by that fear so much that you're afraid to move. We can change that. Use our energy to make that change. So it's not just North Korea, it's other leaders across this world that we have to care, that the leaders who have a consciousness, a social consciousness, see there's a vibe, there's a spirit. And we need leaders who have heart and soul agreement, that kind of spirit. That's what Senator Sanders has, heart, soul agreement. And you have, though, in Congresswoman Gabbard, she's somebody that understands the interventionist wars and all of this money that we're spending. We have the best military on the face of the earth. But what we don't have is the best quality of life on the face of the earth for everyday citizens. And we spend this money on wars, but yet our veterans come back and we don't even treat them right for the service that they've given. So don't be gripped by fear. Let's take our fierceness and turn that into action to get the types of people elected to office who understand that war is not the answer. It is absolutely not the answer. Did I have another one? Is that it? Okay. Can we talk about marijuana prohibition for a few minutes? Our revolution regarding the safety, security of food supply. So, for our revolution, we have 540 groups across this country. We're in 49 states. That daggone South Dakota, I'm coming for South Dakota. That's the only state we don't have. And we're also in 7 countries because of the Democrats abroad. That is a beautiful thing. We're in Japan, we're in France, we're in the UK, we're even in South Korea, Bangladesh, Austria, Australia. So I want you to hold on to that kind of hope. We don't have those kinds of conversations. But our revolution is a grassroots-led organization. We were inspired by Senator Bernie Sanders, but we are a grassroots-led. In running this organization, I have the pleasure to serve with some fierce board members. Our chairman, Larry Cohen, from the UAW. I'm sorry, the CWA. He would kill me. I forgot his name. CWA. But for our revolution, it really is about you. It is about the grassroots bubbling up. Most of the endorsements that we make come from the grassroots affiliates, not from the top down in DC, but from the bottom up, because I just happen to believe that the people who are running for office ought to get the support of the people who they want to serve, and that's what we do at our revolution. So we are concerned about anything to deal with the safety net. We do support issues all across this country. As far as marijuana, we have to decriminalize that all across this country. Attorney General Sessions is a big threat to that because he's trying to criminalize that and everything else in a big way, and that is why we have to plan for the moment. 2020 is coming no matter what. And will we be ready? Will we have the types of candidates running for president that we want to see hold that office that can turn some of this stuff around? What's going to happen in the midterm election? See, any blue won't do. I was just in New York and I said any blue won't do. We're going for Bernie blue. That's the kind of blue we want. Any blue won't do. But what Attorney General Sessions is doing is absolutely criminal, because he's taking us backwards as a nation. And that is why we must plan who will be the next Attorney General. Well, that depends on who the next President of the United States is. So we should care about 2018 and 2019. We can't jump over 2018 to get to 2019. We can't jump over 2019 to get to 2020. But baby, when 2020 is here, we must be ready. Not getting ready, but be ready. It's coming. So let's plan. Let's plan. And hopefully you all will join our revolution. Go to ourrevolution.com in the same way that I want you to support the Hawaii Democratic Party. And can I say this, Big Island, there are very few, because I'm at war. I want the Democratic Party to be the people's party, and until it does, they will have this hell-raising humanitarian all up on them. All right. But it is nice to be able to shout out that Hawaii has a very strong and progressive leader right here, and he needs your support. Now, he said that we got conventions coming up. You folks are going to have to run for those precincts. Maya, is that right? Run for these seats to make sure, because y'all know now they're just not going to let him hold that office, right? So y'all got to be there to have his back. You got to be there to have his back. So let's do this. You know, I want to end with this, because we got to go, but I want you to, so don't worry about the fear. We're going to live life fiercely, we'll live it in love, and we're going to plan. But this is the thing. When Congresswoman Barbara Jordan said, she said, what the people want is simple. They want an America as good as its promise. And that's where all of your questions are coming from. The creation of an America that is good as its promise. But in order for America to be as good as its promise, it needs you. See, it's not outside of our power. And you, and you, and you, and you. It is us collectively. We are the power. And I told you what Jim Hightower said. He said, don't protest. Don't just protest the government. Become the government. Right? Become the government. So we got the answers, and it is us. So God bless you, Big Island. This has been a tremendous, tremendous experience. Love you guys much, and we are coming back. Mr. Turner, are we coming back? We are coming back. Thank you. Commission did. Congresswoman Gabbard talked a little bit about it, but that is our next. If you want to help us on a campaign to force the Democratic Party to take all of those recommendations that came from Bernie Kratz, 8 of us, it came from people who supported Secretary Clinton, who she got to appoint, and also Chairman Perez. Now, if this party truly wants to win back independent voters, millennials, voters who are just outside and tired of the Democratic Party, the minimal, the least that they can do is accept those reforms. We compromised in that room. None of us got everything that we wanted. The Bernie Kratz wanted no superdelegates at all. We had to compromise, and we have some good changes. And if the Democratic Party actually does those changes, this party will transform. We cannot have unity without reform. What happened in 2016 was a sin and a shame, and we can't let that happen again. So please support